the minutes. We rearranged the furniture at 6:59.
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thornapple Kellogg Schools Board of Education regular meeting. It is Monday, September 11th, 2023, and we're at the Thornapple Kellogg School Early Childhood Center boardroom. And Mr. Dombrowski, are we live?
Could be.
Okay, so just so everybody's cognizant, we are doing our first experiment of going live on a feed. And we are mic'd up, of course, too. So, okay. All right, so that's the call of order. I do have just a quick
I have
thing.
to call the roll.
Before that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call the board, please, Ann.
Powers.
Here.
Huson.
Here.
Smith. Hamming. Here. Hess.
Here.
Brock.
Here.
Wenger.
Here.
Thank you. All right, I just have a quick, kind of like a public service announcement. In the spirit of starting a new school year and reminding everyone of protocols, I just have a quick reminder. Over the late spring and summer months, we've had several members of the public making inquiries or comments, and they're all honest and sincere during various parts of meetings. Please understand that any information from presentations, curriculum, etc., can be shared with you after the meeting. Thank you for being respectful. I appreciate it. And then I have another one, and this is in honor of September 11th. It's just something every year it comes up, and I talk about my students. It got interesting this year because I had no idea. Like, it's starting to get that far away now. But please take a moment to remember all of our lives that were lost 22 years ago. Remember the loss in the towers, the World Trade Center, those at the Pentagon, in the planes, and the sacrifice of the first responders who made the valiant attempts to save those in peril. And thank you, Mr. McCarthy, for helping out. In the words.
In the words.
In the words. All right, with that in mind, if we wouldn't mind for a moment of silence, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance in the back. All right, 3, 2, 1. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. And let me clean up some things here. Okay. So that takes us to adoption of the agenda. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented, or if you want a motion to add to the agenda, now is the time.
I move we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Ann, and thank you, Derek. All right, is there any discussion on that? Seeing there's no discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, board. Motion carries. And that takes us to public communication. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Members of the public may address the Board of Education during public comment for up to 3 minutes. Speakers will be recognized by the presiding officer and are asked to state their name, address, and group affiliation if applicable. As a reminder, all comments shall be directed to the board and not to staff or other participants. No participant may speak more than once. Participants may not behave in a manner that is disruptive to the orderly conduct of the meeting. The Board of Education does not respond to public comment. The superintendent will follow up with speakers when appropriate. At this time, we will begin public comment. And I have 2 cards, so I'll go with those first and then open it up to the public. Mr. Dave Lansma.
All right, thank you, board. Good evening, everyone. I am David Lansma. I and my wife are precinct delegates from Yankee Springs Township. We have resided in the TK School District since '84. Our children graduated in 97 and 99. 2 points. First being we'll ask again for the board to consider a second public comment. We appreciate the opportunity to speak once, but it would be nice to have that opportunity at the end to address issues that were discussed in tonight's meeting, for instance. We have reviewed the new AP Environmental Science book and would like to express our thanks to Kim for providing that opportunity. Having done this, we have concerns regarding the perspective from which the science is presented. The opening paragraph in the introduction seeks to only repeat the status quo narrative regarding the COVID-19 crisis. Several key premises are laid down regarding its effect on humans and the environment, but are incomplete in their explanation or harmfully misleading. There's no mention of this deadly man-made disease having escaped from a Chinese lab, and there's no mention of the tragic loss of life and debilitating long-term damage inflicted on millions of people forced, coerced, or otherwise persuaded to take the experimental messenger RNA shot. Regarding the overarching premise from which the science is discussed, it is based entirely in the theory of evolution. Evolution science is a theory and is not the sole basis from which to explain the existence of the universe, our planet, or all the life upon it. There is no discussion regarding the intelligent design ordered by sovereign and all-powerful Creator, our Lord. The definition of science is the study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and the testing of theories against the evidence obtained. The theory of evolution contains many unproven principles and requires a great deal of faith in the unproven in order to move forward. Presenting only one theory is not a true study of science. We are strongly imploring our science department to balance this discussion with ideas that require at least as much faith, including the idea of a sovereign, intelligent creator. Thank you.
Thank you. And my other card is Miss Robin Lansma.
Good evening. I'm Robin Lansma, and I live in the TK School District. Thank you to Kim for scheduling time for David and I to review the proposed environmental science book, the 4th edition, for the AP course by authors Andrew Friedland and Rick Relier. Confession: I have never been an educator, nor have I worked in the school system, a school system. I do not know the method by which classes and their materials are chosen or by whom. I have come to learn that the textbooks must be approved by the school board, so your discernment is critical. Even though I have never been an educator, I am truly thankful and blessed to have received the education I did. Education is so valuable. Critical thinking, what is it? Cambridge Dictionary definition: the process of thinking carefully about a subject or idea without allowing feeling or opinions to affect you. Oxford Languages: the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. Critical thinking is an objective of teaching, is it not? I have reviewed the book proposed for the AP Environmental Science class. I will say the book is well organized. It has beautiful pictures. It strategically places words with definitions. There is some truth in the book. However, if something is not 100% true, it contains falsehoods and bias. It is apparent from the first page about the cover, the agenda of the authors. Here's a sampling of the topics covered from their bias: animal rights, bad humans; origin and effects of the coronavirus; genetic engineering of food, GMOs; evolution, no creation; birth rates, wind energy, solar energy. There are more, but I highlighted these. The authors do a great job of sharing their bias and then may devote a small paragraph to the other side. There isn't enough counterbalance to their agenda. Honestly, it comes across as propaganda. They write just enough counterbalance in the book so that they can say it is in the book. Where is the critical thinking? Careful thinking about feelings and opinions? Objective analysis and evaluation? It is not in this book. Is there another book already being used in this class that provides balance? Is there a more balanced book available? This book does not promote critical thinking and therefore should be rejected by this board. Thank you.
Thank you. My apologies, board. Thank you. Okay, are there any other public comments? Are there any other public comments? All right, thank you. That closes public comment. And that takes us to our next item of consent grouping.
Can I move this back over?
Absolutely, yeah.
Be able to see your lovely faces.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, that takes us to consent grouping. Any consent grouping item can be removed for separate consideration by board member request. All consent grouping items will be adopted in one motion with a roll call vote. So looking for a motion to separate or to group them.
As we only have 2 items, I think we can go ahead and I move that we adopt the consent grouping as presented.
I'll
Okay.
second.
So we have a motion by Hamming and a second by Huson. Is there any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, Ann, would you go with a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Wenger,
Yes.
Brock,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Hamming, yes. Huson,
Yes.
Powers.
Yes. All right, thank you, board. Motion carries. All right, that takes us down to board items for information. So we have committee reporting.
No committees have met since our last board meeting.
All right,
That was quick.
next.
Yep. All right, batter up.
Frank's got dinner date, we gotta go.
Okay, finance update, which,
That's me.
Mr.
All right.
LaHaye.
I thought about putting together a finance committee meeting for this, but decided, decided it'd be better to just present this to the entire board because this is really our fiscal year 22-23 in review. So I know this is a little bit difficult to see on the screens, but you should have it in your board packet as well. So 4 weeks ago from today, actually, we had our financial audit. Our auditors from Maynard Casterison were on site, and they spent 4 days in our office going through everything. And they'll be here next month to present, as they typically do in an annual fashion. But I wanted to beat them to the chase just briefly. This won't be a long one, just to discuss where we ended up comparing our final budget to our actual numbers on the year. So real quick presentation here. First is the revenue side. We're talking general fund, and then we'll take a brief look at the food service fund as well. But on the revenue side of things, we actually finished the year with $193,000 more in revenue than we had budgeted. Okay, and it sounds like quite a bit, but that's, you'll see on here, still about 0.4% variance. So relatively small in the scope of a almost $47 million general fund budget. Really the biggest change was more preschool and childcare revenue than I had budgeted because a lot of that does rush in over the summer months in June. So I put some cliff notes down here on the bottom that you can read, $11,000, $12,000 in investment income. We knew that was kind of exploding over the course of the year. You can see $61,000 more in childcare fees and then some more in preschool fees. Other than that, we were in the $20,000 to $30,000 range, just above budgeted in each of the categories here, state, federal, and then the incoming transfers. And there is a pressure. Yeah, the state does require districts to under budget revenues. So you have to receive more revenue than you budget, and then you have to over budget your expenditures. So you have to have less expenditures than you budget. So with that in mind, we always try to leave a little bit of fluff. So that's the revenue side. The expense side of the budget was even closer. So 0.08% off. So we were under our expenditure budget by just $33,000 again on a almost $44 million budget. That's pretty solid. So great job there. And I won't bore you with the details. Most of that is just small variances in regards to insurance and retirement. So I would say from a percent standpoint, we certainly nailed the budget here for last fiscal year in the general fund. And this is a look at where we finished. Now, we did budget, and I did talk about it in June, where we were going to have quite a surplus in 22-23. It was a very good year. We've got all the categorical grants that are coming down, and we're spending a lot of those dollars this year on things that are supplemental and great for kids. So you'll see where we're going to end up when the auditors are here next month. And that is a vibrant green, but $1.6 million added to fund balance, and it puts us to an 18% fund balance. Like I said, we settled a great contract, a great 2-year contract last year. A lot of this is due to timing, where we're going to spend these dollars this year, so we're certainly not just resting on our laurels and letting the money sit in the bank, but we're moving forward and trying to get the district where we want it to be. Okay, both from an operational standpoint, but then also from, obviously the most important thing, a student learning and instructional standpoint as well. That's all I have for the general fund. Again, I just wanted to give you a real brief overview. The food service fund, you'll recall that we had a very large excess fund balance finishing last year, almost $785,000. State of Michigan didn't allow that. That was a note in our audit. So we had the goal last year of really spending that down, and we bought a lot of things. And I'm happy to report that we are under the allowable food service fund balance coming into this fiscal year, 23-24. So that's on the screen. You can see the expenditures definitely far exceeded the revenues for 22-23, and that was by design. We had $500,000 in capital expenses, from a serving line to new walk-in freezer and cooler, new cafeteria furniture in the high school. If you've been over and seen it, it's beautiful. We're trying to put a few more seats in there, but all good things for kids. So we're all set there, and really this year, with universal free breakfast and lunch, we're going to be fighting that battle again. So food service fund ended where we wanted it to. I've got to put my investment earnings up just because it has been so, fruitful over the last year, and this really has to do with where rates are. We made in the general fund last year, it's the 22-23 column, $161,000. Okay, so that is about a teaching position and a half that we were able to pay for last year out of investment earnings, and that's just in the general fund. And if you take a look, we are off to another great start this year. So I've started investing our capital projects fund. That was something I wasn't doing early last year because there really wasn't as much money in there to play with. But the more little things we can buy and fix, and you'll see that we've got some purchases on the agenda tonight. A lot of these purchases we'll be able to support fully out of investment earnings, and that's just wonderful. It's creating assets out of what feels like a little bit of thin air. So very happy with that. And that's all I have. It was a real brief financial update. Just wanted to give that to you all, not take up your evening. But again, the auditors will be here to talk a little bit more about the fine details next month. But I'll answer any questions anybody has.
I just appreciate that you're looking at our stuff and how to make things better. So making money off of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
It's a passion of mine.
Are there any questions off the cuff?
No, just thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris, I think you're downplaying your skills a little bit. That variance with those kind of dollars, that's a bullseye.
Yeah.
That's excellent to see.
I aspire to do better next year. The preschool fees got me, but it's okay.
Can we keep it that simple every finance meeting?
Well,
Because that was pretty on point.
is that where you want them to be, right there, 5 slides?
It's a little in the weeds
Yeah.
every once in a while.
You're going to
So-
slide with a thumbs
yeah.
up or a thumbs down?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and I'll
Do what I
have to,
can.
I'll have to say, when I see that 18% fund balance, you have to understand, when I came on the board 10 years ago, we were at like a 9% fund balance, which is against our policy. And two, we were looking at, if we had a really bad year, where enrollment was drifting downward, that we could have hit that 5% threshold. I mean, that was a distant but a very real possibility. So you have no idea how wonderful it is to see a fund balance like that and a contract settled, so.
Well, we're trying to, thank you, and we're trying to be mindful of that, but also, doing right by the people that make it happen every day, and taking care of, you know, a lot of the things that can be improved from again, the operational and the capital standpoint, because times are good right now.
Yeah.
Not everywhere, but these are good financial times for school districts, and they won't last forever. So trying to balance that and do the best.
That's right.
I think we put together a sustainable contract, you know, for the, moving forward for the next few years. And some of the money that we're planning on spending, it's gonna be one-time expenditures, so it's not gonna keep costing us money. And I think Chris is doing a good job of making use of those funds, so.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again, Mr. LaHaye. All right, that takes us down to board items, our board discussion items, sorry. So this will come with one of our public comments today, was the request for second public comments. We've had, I'm just shooting from the hip here, but I think it's going on about 6 months where we've had requests for a second public comment. So just wanted to talk about it so we can stay with what our current motto, I apologize, our current model of having one public comment. Different boards do different things. You can have it at the beginning, the end, or we could have two. So just kind of opening up the dialogue, I'll share my opinion on it. Is I enjoy our current model of what we have. Public comes in and they speak. It is always really good to hear the public, and to, because it's a viewpoint that you might not have or you may have, and so it reinforces or it opens your mind and say, wait a second, I need to think about this. So I think that's good. I will tell you in all honesty, I do get concerned because we had a meeting last year about this time, and I got several emails the next day because I was told I did not control the public enough during public comment and during the meeting. And so I'm not sure that a second public comment, if we have a meeting with contentious information or contentious debate, that the second public comment would be better, so to speak. So I just want to get that out there. Now that's a personal thing because that was more affecting to me. Several of you weren't here at that point. I mean, but it's something that I think is real. So I just wanted to share that, and then I'm open to conversation, and we'll see where things go.
Well, thanks, Matt. I have to agree that I mean, as you know, I value public comment. Transparency is a deeply held value of mine. But yeah, I don't have to look too far back. We sat through those meetings through the pandemic, where I think in those situations, if we had had a second public comment, I think it only would have amped up and tensions only would have gotten higher. I'm comfortable with our current model simply because, I mean, people absolutely have an ability to comment. The people who are especially most keenly interested in what we're doing, I mean, they can see the agendas ahead of time, they can get information ahead of time, so they can provide public input before a vote. Once the board votes, I mean, the action is taken and we move forward. And it would only be I don't think it serves anything to rehash, or even if it's praise or condemnation and criticism, I'm like, it's not going to change the course of action. It only amps things up or provides an opportunity for things to get amped up from my perspective. So
You sort of said what I was going to say, Ann.
Okay. Glad I stole your thunder.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say something.
Yeah.
I appreciate the public comment in the beginning as well. It actually helps when we're having dialogue to kind of consider other viewpoints. But once we voted and had those action items already closed, I don't fully understand why speaking again, I can't take action on that, right? We've already voted, we've already made those actions at the board table. Obviously, getting emails from our community members or conversations afterwards makes a lot of sense to me. But already taking action is, I guess, it becomes a moot point, I guess.
Well, something to think about in a municipality that I worked for, the first public comment was just for agenda items, and then the second public comment was for non-agenda items. So that might remove people's concerns about rehashing things that we already approved, and then they could still do what they do now and email us and, catch us after the meeting and whatever. So that is one solution that we could consider.
I kind of agree with that. I think it's good to condense it a little bit on the front side, but allow that extra conversation on the back side. I know no matter how you look at it, the pandemic era was contentious. And that's really hard to navigate, but like Brenda said, there's a lot of boards that do it. I know there might be ramifications for it, but if we limit it on certain areas, that might help us be more constructive.
I have a question. How much of our agenda items are given to the public when they ask before the meeting? Because if it's just the agenda and they learn about actual details inside at the meeting through presentations and stuff, then they hear about it at the meeting and they're like, oh, I have a comment on that. Then it's a whole month later after something was given. So how much do we actually give out with our?
Just a skeleton, right?
What's out there available for the public is the agenda that you see essentially on the screens here, just the agenda topics.
Gotcha. So we're not giving what would be the meat and potatoes of a topic then. We're just giving agenda items.
Right.
So that's why I feel a second public comment in whatever form or fashion, I think it would be valuable at the end because we're on the same topic on the same day. Otherwise, it gets brought up a month later. Because we are just giving them an overview. Some of the topics that you see on here, a district truck purchase, there's nothing there for anyone to weigh in on. But you could weigh in on it after you hear a presentation.
But we're still not going to take action on it. I guess that's still, for me, that's still, I would fully listen, and I'm not saying I'm against listening by any means.
Yeah.
But that still could go, it'd be the same result as we're doing now, right? It would still be a comment after the meeting's over, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Right.
I don't know how it would change our meeting structure, how it would help me
Yeah.
as a board member to have that without, I'd still be waiting to the next meeting to address that, or emailing the individual.
Yeah. Well, the way the public comment would be set up right now, if someone brought up a good point and we said, oh man, we might want to do something on that, then it's 2 more meetings because we already have an agenda set. Where if there was a meeting, you hear about a topic, there's a public comment at the end and say, oh, maybe we need to reconsider something here. Then we can address that at the next meeting instead of being, oh, hear the public comment at the next meeting and then the following meeting do something.
Well,
So again, many board members, many opinions. That one's just mine.
And one thing too, that a lot of items, the curriculum for the new textbook, for example, most items, and especially items that people would want time to look into, it's a 2-step process.
Yeah.
So I think on just many, many, many important issues, it's introduced 1 month. People can hear about it here. They can request the board packet materials. They can review the material, and then they can comment at that second meeting. So I think that concern that you rate, well, it's, I definitely hear that and value that. I think our processes have been baked in the 2-step process. That's why it's like bad governance practice, for instance, to just flip a motion on the table, because again, we try the best we can to introduce something 1 month and then adopt it the next. The exception, of course, is, purchases like a van or a truck. I mean, that could be a very lengthy process on those kinds of things, but the really substantive stuff,
If we're doing anything new, like introducing new curriculum or something like that, that is a 2-step process.
Yeah.
An operational thing, like a truck or a van or whatever, doesn't need to have that same discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody's kind of said something. And I feel like we're kind of all over the place. So.
That's a good.
Right. No, it's a great discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So I guess, is this something you want to revisit in a month? Or are we,
no.
I've
think
I would
we
love to hear what Dave has to say about it. I mean, all his wealth of knowledge and experience, just, but I'd value his opinion on it too. But that's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's something I like the discussions, so, but again, I feel like we're kind of all over. And then, you know, if it's something like Brenda said, we could go many different things. So, okay, so I guess we'll just let that one kind of sit for a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, yeah.
All right. I had another thought request here. We have, you know, item A is committee reporting. So, we have other liaisons and different things, and they never officially get their time to speak. So, for instance, like Brenda's on the library board, we have TAP-RC, KISB, those different things. This would be, I would just like to rename committee reporting to committee and liaison reporting. And that just provides that avenue and that time, and it also should encourage them to bring back some information of what's going on, because otherwise it's kind of like we create and send out and say, good luck, you know, thank you very much.
Yep.
So any thoughts on that?
I like that.
I like it a lot.
Thank you, good,
Yes.
Okay.
good, good.
All right, and at the bottom, so usually to end the meeting, I'll say whatever random comments I have. You guys are used to that by now. And, yeah, thanks, Ty. And I'll say anything else for the good of the order. So to kind of formalize that, adding a bullet point after his superintendent's report or before adjournment, and just say board sharing. And that's where, for instance, like I went to the MASB conference, you know, I could talk about that. Or we could talk about ticket taking, any concerns you had with that. Anything that we all, as a group, not really big issues, but tying loose ends together.
Yeah.
Again, that would just be a quick title. Most likely, we wouldn't touch that very often, but that would be a good way to have that just touch base.
Yeah, yeah. We have that, because I mentioned it to Matt, we have it at the Kent ISD board, and it was just oh yeah, you know, I went to this class, would anybody like me to share the slides, or, you know, this meeting is coming up, if you'd like to attend, or carpool, those kinds of things. That, yeah, we don't really have a, you know, we just kind of throw it out there if we think of it, and so this gives us a spot.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think that's
thanks.
good. Okay, so those two seem more, okay, good. The last one, you might need to check your calendars. Mr. McCarthy prefers a end of the year evaluation, end of calendar year. However, we have some superintendent evaluation trainings that are running late. So that kind of pushes us into December. So our December board training, or sorry, man, I am off tonight. Our December regular board meeting is Monday, December 11th. So then, you know, Mr. McCarthy had offered out the 12th, 13th, and 14th. If we get to the next week, I think there's gonna be so many conflicts
All
with the board.
kinds of
We'd be
choir
lucky to make a
concerts.
quorum.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we want every board member in on this evaluation. It's very important to our district, and Mr. McCarthy, he grows and learns from it.
Do we know when the musicals and concerts are? Do we have,
I don't have that
because
information right now.
there's what, the Lee program? Do either of you guys have kids at Lee?
Yes, yeah, we both
Okay.
have one at Lee.
And then,
I know, some are small.
no, you don't have a band? Okay,
No.
you don't have, okay. Do you have band or choir?
No.
Okay, so it's just the Lee musical that would be, or Lee, whatever, music program.
Yeah.
I mean, are we far enough advanced, we can put tentative on all of the days?
We could,
And
we
the-
could, and then
That's what I'm
make
saying,
sure that
and then-
nothing is on those days.
Yeah, then frame
okay.
it up there.
Because I'm good with either one of those days.
Sure.
It's just a matter of what, you know, the 7 of you can actually do.
Mhm.
Should be like 6 to 8, 5 to 8. I can't remember.
Usually that one we sneak up to 6. It's usually because of people's work schedules. I don't know. 6 is usually when I can get here. So I don't know what you guys
Good.
can pull off. And that just allows, well, there's a lot of dialogue, I'm sorry. Most of it's my fault because I want to talk more, and then I get told that we need to move faster. So
It's a good solid 2 hours.
Yeah.
I would
If
plan on
Plan on
2
I would plan
hours.
on
Plan
Sure.
on
Yeah.
3,
Two
and
to
we
threes, but
start at the end this time,
plan
so
on-
we, got through the important stuff, yeah.
I would plan on the longer time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the
Last
nature of
year
it.
was shorter than the prior year, and last year was 3 hours. So I would plan on at least 3.
But on the
We
same
got it
token-
down now, though.
On the same token, though, this is our shining moment. This
Yeah.
is our one employee that we truly monitor. So, again, I'm okay with spending more time. That doesn't bother me. I know it makes a long night, but this is what our purpose
It's a great
besides
moment.
the meetings is we need to make sure Ms. McCarthy's doing what we want to do.
I have
And,
a question for you. So
yes.
we had previously talked in board meeting that all the board was going to go to the superintendent training, right?
That was an idea thrown
So
out.
we're not doing that. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm starting with curious. Is that what we decided to do? No, yes.
I don't remember that being, I remember it being thrown out, but I didn't remember it getting
Okay.
traction. Yeah.
I think might be a space issue with that, because
Okay.
there's only so many of them
Right.
until this time frame, and one of them is definitely filled already
Yeah.
Okay.
and passed,
I don't
so we got
have to
2
go.
left,
Just-
yeah.
We had to
Yeah,
move
we
to
don't want to take
October.
a spot,
Been there, done
yeah.
that.
I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
I'd love to go with you, but,
Right.
yeah, we've done that in the
Okay.
past.
I think they're all virtual, the ones that I saw, I didn't see any in
Okay.
person,
Oh.
so.
It used to be
Good
in
luck
person.
staying awake,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So currently we're at reserve the room, the 12th, 13th, 14th, and have Mr. McCarthy and Erica,
We'll make sure that
Confirm
there's
is
nothing on
clear.
those dates, yep,
okay?
Yep.
And Dave did reach out. He said he's good all 3 days.
okay.
So, okay.
All right.
So as of right now, everybody's clear because we could narrow it down to 2 days right now.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm good all 3. Okay.
Does Craig cook for that, like steaks?
He
or
does.
They're tube steaks.
Hot dogs?
Hot dogs.
You and Rickard are hanging out. He really likes hot dogs.
Okay, so that, we will wait till Mr. McCarthy gets back to us, right? Okay. All right, thank you, board. Is there anything else real quick that anybody wants to bring up? I guess we can, okay. All right, thank you. That closes board discussion items. And now we'll go to board items for action. That is AP Environmental Science textbook approval. And this will be the second presentation. And I don't have any wording. Do you have wording?
I do have a wording. Yeah, do you want me to read the motion
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are looking to
to
go ahead and
adopt?
approve. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Huh, okay.
okay, oh, you don't have, okay, here.
You mind?
Yeah, sure. I'll move that the Board of Education approve the AP Environmental Science textbook and online resource from Bedford, Freeman, and Worth Publishers.
Okay, so we have a motion from Hamming.
I'll second.
And a second from Huzen. And that is just a vote. Okay, is there
Any discussion?
any discussion? Yeah. Sorry.
No, I just want to thank Kim for her leadership and Charlie Vicker. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited. I do like the rigor of I can't think of the name right now, but the higher level challenge courses and the AP. Well, the AP, but there's also the honors courses. I appreciate the rigor that the school's providing. I love challenging our students and pushing them past their comfort level because, you know, if you let people coast along, they're going to coast along. So I love challenging. So I appreciate that. Is there any discussion on the AP Environmental Science textbook? Okay, so we have a motion by Hamming, support by Huzen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you, board. Motion carries. All right, district truck purchase. And I apologize, I'm in like
Oh, no, are you stuck?
I think I'm in a
Okay.
public domain, so.
Oh, here, do you want to,
No, I'll
you can
Okay.
read.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
thank
got
you.
a, yeah.
we'll share
I'll
that.
just need it at the, yeah.
Appreciate
you
that.
got it.
Okay,
All right.
so, oh boy.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
right here.
Well, no, this is, Mr. McCarthy or Mr. LaHaye, do you want to chit-chat about this, or no?
I can give you just a brief overview.
Sure.
So, we're looking to replace some vehicles this year. We have some new funds, transportation funds, and this isn't necessarily tied to that. But the next two purchases here, the van and the truck, would be capital project fund purchases to replace some vehicles that are, past life. So I don't know if anybody had a chance to look at the attachment I had about the 2004 Silverado. 155,000 miles, it's rusty, the interior is just a it's time. So it still gets around, but they try not to drive it, and our maintenance and grounds team can sure use a new truck. So that's what this is for. We're looking to do this like we did last year. You know, vehicles can come and go. So we're looking for that, you know, board approval, and then we'll go shopping. When I say we, Mr. McCarthy, myself, and then Mr. Walker, our transportation supervisor, really head that up. Prices have come down on vehicles in the last 6 to 8 months or so. So we're looking to replace this with a 2022 or newer, just because mileage isn't really a concern for us. It's more about, because of the small proximity of our buildings, it's more about keeping them clean and keeping them, you know, well-maintained and rust-free, so they'll last, hopefully, you know, 15 years or so. So the parameters are on here that we're looking to do, and we did some research. We found that we can get a 2022 or newer vehicle, and that's a full-size pickup with fewer than 10,000 miles for a price not to exceed $50,000. So we'll, with your blessing, with your approval here, we'll look to get that moving the next month or so.
Thank you. Thank you for stalling for me. Appreciate it. All right, I got logged back in. Okay, is there any questions for Mr. LaHaye, or otherwise I'm looking for a motion? All right, I'll make the motion. I make a motion that the Board of Education approve the purchase of one full-size truck, 2022 or newer, with fewer than 10,000 miles for a total purchase price not to exceed $50,000.
I'll second.
It's very quick.
Yeah, you're on that.
Been waiting all night.
Okay, motion by Powers, support by Winger. Is there any discussion after that?
Can we get a commitment from Craig or Chris that the old one will be in the Derby at the fair next year? Which one are you driving? You can drive. Craig can be in the passenger seat.
That's the door that gets hit all the time.
Get reinforced.
I did ask a question on this, and Craig, I appreciate you getting back to me. Thank you for that explanation.
Yep.
To go along with Chris's comment, times are good right now financially for the school, so if we can secure an asset that can be here for 20-plus years or something like that, that's fantastic. So thank you for getting back to me.
We do have some availability on the Sourcewell contract for some green trucks.
Green trucks?
At the store down in Hastings. Go up to 35 miles an hour, and they're dual purpose, so.
Oh, there you go.
They gotta clear snow or anything, or plow fields, they're available, so.
Send me information.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, so we have a motion by Powers, support by Winger for a district truck purchase not to exceed $50,000. That is a roll call vote, please, Ann?
Yes. Huson.
Yes.
Hamming, yes. Hess.
Yes.
Wenger.
Yes.
Brock.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes. Thank you, Board. Motion carries. All right, and district cargo van purchase, Mr. LaHaye?
Yeah, really the same situation as the truck. This one is a 2006 Dodge Sprinter van. It's our ladder van. It's the larger cargo van that's driven around. Doesn't have as many miles, but we're looking to do the same thing. And I'll also note, you know, vehicles, all these little things that we're trying to take care of and do, you know, like the fronts of our buildings, it all sends a message. It all sends a message about the district, and for driving around in rust buckets, that sends a message as well. So we appreciate it. This one, we're looking 2022 or newer, fewer than 10,000 miles, not to exceed $47,000. And at my last look, I think we could almost get a brand new full-size cargo van for that price. So we'll be looking at that and weighing the options. Not saying we'll spend that much, but again, looking for the best deal possible for the district.
Okay. I just want to, it's in my head, you mentioned ladder. You said you could take the ladder rack off the current one and it'll fit the same model?
Yeah, it
'Cause
won't be the
sometimes-
same model. But
Well, right, but it can be modified and put on there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, this is the van that Darkasky drives around, and it's kind of our main maintenance van.
Yeah, no, that's
It'll be-
that's good. You need a handy piece of equipment. Yep. Okay. All right, so with that, any questions for Mr. LaHaye or looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approve the purchase of one cargo van 2022 or newer with fewer than 10,000 miles for a total purchase price not to exceed $47,000.
I'll support.
Okay, so we got a motion by Winger and a support by Hess. Is there any further discussion? I'd just like to say thank you, Chris, for just looking out. Those are things that could easily slip under the radar, and you could say I'm too busy for, but But again, like Derek said, you're taking advantage of timeframes and putting our district in a good spot. So thank you. All right, any other discussion? All right, so with that, roll call vote, please, Ann?
Okay, Brock,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Wenger,
Yes.
Huson,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Hamming, yes.
All right, that's a 6-0 vote. Thank you, board, motion carries. And last is district storage building.
All right, I'll jump in.
Mr. LaHaye.
So this one's a little bit unprecedented for me. You'll recognize this item. It was on the agenda in April. We went out to bid for our cold storage building to be built. I won't spend a whole lot of time talking about the person or the builder that was approved in April, but they came out, they met with us, and I just want to reiterate that we did do a post-bid interview. We involved OAK with it. I called 4 references on this builder. They were south by quite a ways, kind of down by Kalamazoo. We were on board. They were the low bidder. Everything looked good. Over the course of the summer, it became apparent they did not have the ability to get the necessary permits to build the building. Kept going on, yep, I'm going to do it, yep, I'm going to do it. And just without spending a whole lot more time on it, we decided that, we're going to let them go and go to our second builder, or our second low bidder on this, who is a local builder, Jason Curtis here out of Middleville. Jason held his price and assured me that he can get this built, before the snow falls. He actually called me today and wondered if the board had approved it. And I said, it's tonight.
Yeah.
So he's ready to go. He assures me he knows exactly what needs to be done to get the permit, the permits, and so it's a little bit more in the way of dollars, but I think we all feel better about approving JC Custom Builders at the purchase price here. Again, this will be out of the capital projects fund to do the work and get it done here. So it feels right.
Right, yeah, absolutely. No, I know Jason, he's a great guy, does quality work. So what's the difficulty in getting permits? Is there something more complicated about this that we didn't, I
I don't
didn't
know the process
remember.
real well. My understanding was, it starts with they need to have their prints of the building approved by an architect, have stamped prints, and then we need to send them off to Lansing to have them approved, and the site plan as well. Yep, said that could happen, and then kept asking questions, and it just was not moving. And so Jason seems to know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, good. And are the material prices roughly what they were when Jason bid on this?
roughly.
Okay,
Yep, they're
close.
roughly. But again,
Yeah,
he's willing to hold the price for us.
okay, that's
So,
great.
I think it's great.
Okay.
And he wants to, obviously, he lives here, his children go to TK, and he's excited about the opportunity, so.
Yeah.
If I had a do-over, a mulligan, we wouldn't be here, but
That's all
here we
right.
are.
While Chris feels like this is a little bit sheepish for him to have to come back, this is a responsible thing to do. If you get to a point where a contractor is not able to do what you've hired them to do, you have to let them go and move on. So it's just a good move.
I love it's local, too.
Yeah, that is
Not-
cool.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it
still the
didn't feel-
second high.
It didn't feel
lowest.
great,
Yeah.
not going with him in the first place. We had a great conversation, talked about the future, but he understood. So, it's kind of nice in that regard to be able to come back and do this.
So timeline, you are confident it'll be done before winter?
He's talking October to get it done.
Okay.
So as long as we don't have a whole
Wow.
lot of early snow, which hopefully we don't, I think we'll be all set. Good.
All right, that's good, and we can put that right to use.
Yeah,
All right, thank you
yes.
for all your work on this.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we've had good dialogue. Does anybody have any further clarifications? If not, I'm looking for a motion to approve this.
I'll move that the Board of Education approve J.C. Custom Builders to construct a storage facility as specified and presented for an amount not to exceed $149,870.
I'll support.
So a motion by Hamming, support by Brock. Is there any further discussion?
Can I just ask a question? So we talked about the old Learning Center building being demolished. When are we starting that work? Not we, Royal we.
It'll be next summer. we're doing a lot of planning right now for the work that has to be done next summer.
Okay.
That's part of it. We have a meeting on September 19th with everybody to go through. They've got their budget all set for all the projects that we want to do that include that, the parking and paving, to see what we
Yeah.
think we can afford.
Yeah. Ideally, we'll go out for bids late October, early November to get those contractors that are going to be available that next summer. The earlier we get them, the better bids we're going to get, and more likely we'll have more people bidding on the work.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, good clarification. Okay, so we have a motion by Hamming, support by Brock for JC Custom Builders, just under 150,000. Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote, please, Ann.
Yes. Hess.
Yes.
Wenger.
Yes.
Huson.
Yes.
Brock.
Yes.
Hamming, yes. Powers.
Yes. Thank you, board. Motion carries. All right, and that takes us down to superintendent's report.
Right. So this is the sixth start of the school year for me here, and this has been one of the smoothest starts we've had in a long time, so I really appreciate that. All the staff, the students seem to be very positive and excited, so it's good to see. The HVAC in the high school is being fine-tuned. I mean, it's not perfect. Like any construction project, there are going to be a few things you have to work on once you start living in it. Cafeteria has been received rather well. There are some students that would rather just wander the building, but that can't happen. There's access to bathrooms, and there's nearly 600 seats. We're still adding a few spots where by the time we're done, there will be 600 seats for the students in the cafeteria. So, and then needless to say, there'll continue to be punch list items as we move forward, and we'll clean those up. I've had the opportunity to be in buildings regularly and have stopped into classrooms, and it's just great to see the kids really excited about learning, which is new. I mean, over the last few years, we were trying to get back to normal, and this really seems like a normal school year. So, and if you didn't get the opportunity to see them, there are pictures all over Facebook of me getting dunked in the dunk tank at Heritage Days. So it was a lot of fun, and a lot of people took the opportunity to stick me in the water. So next week, I'll be attending the MASA conference in Traverse City. I'll be available by phone, or we'll answer emails and texts if you need me.
Did you go straight well water, or did you have them warm it up for you?
No, it came out of the pumper truck.
Really?
And it was, but it was actually sort of tepid. It wasn't too bad, so.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all I have.
Okay, I would just like to thank you all for coming out to the game and taking tickets. It's good.
It's a blast.
I told
It's
Craig
fun.
several times, I said, just look around. This is fun.
really
This
fun.
is what high school is. You know, there's kids throwing footballs, just a lot of positive, fun things going on there.
I love what football does for a community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings them together.
I love the
Win or
theme
lose.
of the student sections.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
On our side, that Ann and I were on, the little students were bringing in corn stalks. You guys are out in the country too. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yep, I think it's all good nature.
We immediately started like asking them, hey, did you go get that from the field right here? I'm gonna call Mr. Weir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
and then, Mr. McCarthy sent out a wonderful email. It's always good to end on a high note. So TK High School 2022, one of the best high schools. Always nice to hear these things, always fun,
Yeah.
and it's just great. So we appreciate all the hard work that our staff does to keep our schools a destination. Did you have something?
Nope.
Okay. Well, is there anything else for the good of the order?